So let's carry on a bit about learning as a child, really, an infant, more than anything. Because can you remember learning to talk? Can you remember learning to walk? Probably not, because that was all done unconsciously. You weren't aware you were learning, you were just living more than anything. And how did you do that? Probably through watching and listening. And then from watching and listening enough, you started to copy. The way we learn to talk is through copying the sounds we hear around us, which is why sometimes children can kind of babble, because sometimes we don't make much sense. But eventually, if you copy enough times, you'll find what works for you. And that's called learning through repetition, because you have to repeat an action more than once, more than twice, really around about 5 to 7 times before it starts to sink in. One of the common mistakes most people do when they're trying to learn something is they'll read it once or they'll do it once, and they'll be surprised that 6 months later they can't remember a thing. But as a child, you fall over a lot, you break things, you cry a lot because you make mistakes. And it's important because you don't make those mistakes again. The best analogy I've found for learning like a child is if you think about a bucket in the rain, the way it has a big, huge opening and that lets in all that information, all that rain. Now, as we get older, we start to learn consciously. We kind of learn how to learn. We're told this is how it's done. We're given cards, we're given books, we're given lessons. Now, for some people, that's fantastic. And for some people, that works perfectly. But not everyone, because it all comes down to how you're shown and how you're told. If it doesn't work for you, if it's not the right way for you, then you're going to struggle. And what happens is you begin to get expectations. You begin to maybe decide that you're not intelligent or you're not capable. You avoid making mistakes because you don't want to be seen to do things wrong. Now, organised learning is great for some. It's successful for some people. It's perfect. But for others, it's really less than ideal, because you stop learning and you just start doing, you start repeating, but without actually enjoying what you're doing or understanding why you're doing it. So the analogy for this is you become like a vase. Maybe for a single rose, your opening reduces so much so that learning really is not a thing that you participate in anymore. What accelerated learning does is it takes that vase and it makes it back into a bucket. It opens you up fully because it makes you willing to take more chances, because it shows you how you are intelligent, it shows you how you're capable and what you actually can achieve. It encourages you to try new ways of learning. And what also it does is it gives you the confidence to be prepared to fail. Because if you don't fail at things, sometimes you're never going to succeed, because you have to be prepared to take those risks. It helps you to learn like a child again, but with the understanding of an adult. It makes conscious learning and unconscious learning work together. It shows you that learning can be an adventure, and that really learning can be done every day. And really, you only need to spend 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, as long as you can spare doing so. But as long as you do some every day, then before you know it, you will really be back into a bucket, and learning will just become completely natural, completely fun. Accelerated learning is all about being an individual. When you go from a vase to a bucket, that's when you learn that your learning is unique to you, and you learn how to do it in a way that you probably never thought you could.